Както ви бях казал и в предишното видео, днес искам да ви споделя за това как Египет и Израел още през 2021 година се разбират за съдбата на ивицата Газа. Като те решават Египет изцяло да поеме възстановяването на ивицата Газа. Пак ви казвам, това е 2021 година, още преди никой от нас да има и най-малката представа, че ще има нужда ивицата Газа да бъде възстановявана. Но все пак те още тогава се разбират, че Египет ще възстанови ивицата Газа. Но и не само това, те решават и да изградят буферна зона от египетската страна на Рафа, като плана за това започва още през 2014 година. Като още тогава египетското правителство започва да отчуждава всички хора, живеещи в тази буферна зона, която е с ширина от цели 2 мили. Като честа за изграждането на тези два огромни мегапроекта е бил нагърбен не кой да е, а един от най-големите строителни магнати в региона, а именно Ибрахим Ал-Аржани, който е много близък до египетския президент. Да, добре ме чухте, един от най-големите и крупни строителни магнати в региона, който е много близък до египетското правителство, по някаква невероятна случайност е нагърбен с честа както да възстанови ивицата Газа, така и да изгради тази буферна зона, която буквално си един открит затвор. Той е същия този Ибрахим Ал-Аржани, който според Ванеса Били е човекът, който изнудвал всеки преминаваш от ивицата Газа в Египет с $5000. $5000 е струва цената, за да може да преминете от ивицата Газа в Египет и обратното. Всичко това отишло в джоба на този крупен строителен магнат или по мое мнение един най-обикновен престъпник и мародер. Така че сами виждате, че нещата са доста съмнителни. И честно да ви кажа, колкото повече се запознавам с цялата информация около събитията Израел-Газа, трябва да ви кажа, че все повече почва да ми се гади. Наистина не мога да повярвам как има такива изроди на нашата планета и как те правят буквално ужасяващи престъпления без абсолютно никакви последствия за това. Наистина си играят с живота на милиони души само и само за да си напълнат джобовете с повече и повече милиони долари. Или по-скоро тук вече говорим за милиарди. Милионите са за така по-ниска топка престъпници. Така че вижте и самия репортаж, надявам се да ви бъде интересен. Ако е така, разбира се, пак ви подканвам да се абонирате за канала, както и да дадете един лайк на видеото. Също така може да напишете един коментар, всичко това помага много за развитието на канала. Благодаря ви предварително, надявам се материал да ви е интересен. Вижте го.
Here's a question for you. Why did Egyptian contractors sign a contract to rebuild Gaza back in 2021? Why did Egypt start building a massive open-air prison on their land back in 2014, right next to the border crossing with Israel? It's almost as if someone knew exactly what was about to happen to Gaza years before it actually happened. How could they make money off of this, right? Just like Ukraine, of course. On this show, we don't believe in coincidences. In the year 2014, 10 years ago, Egypt started kicking people out of their homes in Rafah. Let me repeat that. In 2014, 10 years ago, Egypt started kicking people out of their homes in Rafah on the Egyptian side, tearing them down. It's odd, right? Why? Why would that happen? Residents were outraged at the time, demanded the government compensate them for their seized homes. Then in the year 2021, Ibrahim Al-Arjani, who is very close to the son of Egypt's President al-Sisi, was awarded the rebuilding contract for Gaza. Interesting. As Haaretz reports, Egypt's monopoly on rebuilding Gaza. So Egypt has a monopoly on rebuilding Gaza? We know this thanks to Israeli news agency Haaretz, which exposed this monopoly that Egypt has over Gaza reconstruction. Again, reconstruction. It's almost as if they knew it was going to happen, right? It's crazy. So Egypt seems very keen on making a lot of money off of this war. Then a few months ago, something even fishier happened. Construction started on a massive walled open-air prison on the Egyptian side of the border fence. being built by the same guys that are about to profit handsomely off of Gaza reconstruction. Now, here you can see cranes, wall construction beginning. This video has been shared by multiple news outlets. Now, we haven't independently confirmed it, to be clear, but these are being shared by other news outlets to say this is construction on this section right here next to the border wall.
And to be fair, there is a lot of construction in the Sinai region, a lot of tourists, a lot of...
Yeah, but this is literally next to the wall. This is adjacent to the wall and for a sole purpose. Forget all the Saudi money and everything else that's poured into other parts of the Sinai. This is specifically construction benefiting this individual that we've been talking about, Al-Arjani, but also right in a partnership with Israel. And this is on the Egyptian side of the border fence at Rafah, as you can see here in white. Take a look at this satellite imagery here. So that white, keep this up on the screen for a little bit if you would, Philip, here. See the red line there. What's amazing about this is that after the 2005 Philadelphia Accord, Israel was given control over this area. Egypt gave control of its own land over to Israel. So who or what do you think will be soon living in this giant rectangle? Guys, what do you guys think? This giant wall, open air prison. Who's going to be living in this giant rectangle, or I guess you would call that a, what is that, a trapezoid?
It's a trapezoid. Yeah.
Trapezoid. So this is the giant open air prison that's being built right now by Egypt on the border. Who do you think is going to be living in this walled city here? Who? Oh, you guys can't guess. It's going to be the Palestinians, right? Who else is going to be living in this plush surroundings, surrounded by Israeli guards, right?
Who's the surviving Palestinians?
Right. Who's left over who will not be killed will wind up in this trapezoid here. The giant walled open air prison. So even CNN had the balls to expose this corruption. Excuse me, I said corruption. I meant construction. Egypt is building a new walled buffer zone more than 2 miles wide on Gaza border, satellite images show. And they took it a step further, did CNN. You can't believe this. Who is the main builder who is benefiting from building this prison and the so-called buffer zone? Yes, according to CNN, it's the same Ibrahim El-Arjani who owns some of the largest construction companies in Egypt. Now, according to the news reports, he has very close ties to Egyptian intel agency, the Egyptian intel agency, and he receives basically his marching orders from them, according to these reports. According to Vanessa Beeley, he is the man controlling this border crossing, charging $5,000 per person to cross. And according to the Sinai Foundation, they describe this massive open-air prison this way. The Sinai Foundation obtained information through a relevant source that indicates the construction work currently taking place in eastern Sinai is intended to create a high-security, gated, and isolated area near the borders with Gaza Strip in preparation for the reception of Palestinian refugees in the case of the mass exodus of the citizens of Gaza Strip.
Just in case.
So these people will be forced out of Gaza, across the border crossing, into this new open-air prison built by Egypt and controlled by the Israeli Defense Forces. So even if they make it to Egypt, they'll still be guarded by Israel. Does anyone else find this incredibly fascinating that after the Philadelphia Accords in 2005, Egypt ceded control of their own sovereign territory, this section of land, to Israel? Like, this is Egyptian land. But Israel has control over it. Does anyone else find this interesting?